Hello everyone, this is a tutorial for the track called Harry and Ginny from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. If you haven't heard the soundtrack, I suggest that you do, because it is a very good soundtrack and I enjoy it very much. This video was requested by Arissa Masibak. I hope that I pronounced your name right, and if I didn't, I'm very sorry. This tutorial will be split into two pieces, two parts, we could say, and they're quite short, so that makes it a little bit easier to learn. And these two parts are then repeated again to complete the piece. So the part of the film that this piece is taken from would make a difference for the way that you play it. It is a kind of sad and happy piece at the same time. So when you play it, you want to keep a very light touch. You don't want to play really heavily, you know, it's not the theme and the kind of way that it is intended to be played. And that will make a difference later after you've learned the notes. I will apologize in advance. There's a lot of background noise and I'm very sorry about that because there are a lot of clocks in my house. Okay, for this tutorial you will need to have a basic idea of, you will need to know what the notes are called. And if you don't know that, you might want to try and follow with the way I place my hands on the keyboard. Okay, let's go with the first part. The first part starts with the right hand, the thumb of your right hand on the A above the middle C. That's the first note. The next note is a chord. Well, not exactly a chord, but you play two hands at the same time, which is your pinky finger on the A below middle C and the other finger on A above, well, 2 octaves above middle C. So it's kind of like this. That's the first note. After this, after you play this, you're going to play F and F, both in your left hand and your right, both above middle C. So it sounds like this. You're going to hold on for 2 counts, so it's like 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and D in your right. After this part is a little bit more complicated. You're going to play the A in your left, this note right here, just a little bit before B in your right. So it sounds like this. After that, you will play G in your right, G in your left and B in your right together. So it sounds like this. After that, you just press G up here. That is the second G above middle C. So far we've played this. After the G, you're going to play again the A a little bit before everything else. That is A in your left, the first A below middle C, and the second A above middle C. After that, you'll play F, so it sounds like this. Now this is done fairly quickly, so because these are quavers, so you do this. And right after that, you will play A in your left and F in your right. So it sounds like this. A bit more like. After the A and the F, you'll just press a D. So the whole part again, for a little recap, sounds like this. Now, the next part, again, you're going to have the A in the left played a little bit before everything else. So you have A in the left and E in the right, then G and B. So it sounds like this. This is a little bit in sequence. You can play it either like this, with the second finger on the G and first finger on the B, but I prefer to play it like this, with the little finger on the A, the thumb on the G and the second finger on the B, so you have a little bit of a turn. It's more comfortable like that. So we start this bar again. That is the A before E. After this comes D in the right, but you play it a little bit after the B. So the counting would be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... I got the counting wrong, I'm sorry. Let's do it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... The next part, you're not going to be playing the A before, as we were doing earlier. And you will be playing it with the notes in the right, these two together. So the notes are A in the left and F in the right. And then F in the left and E in the right. And A in the left and F in the right. So you've got this kind of pattern. The next few bars, you're going to have the right, which is going on the note, one note below it, one note above it. So the right sounds like this. And you're going to repeat this pattern for the next few bars. Whereas the left is going to be a sort of an arpeggio, if you've done scales. And you're going to have kind of ascending sort of pattern. So playing them together, I will repeat. We will play F in the right and A in the left together. F in the left, E in the right together. And A in the left and F in the right together. So it sounds like this. After that, you play A alone in the right. So the bar sounds like this. Immediately after the A, you're going to play A in the left with E in the right, G in the left, D in the right, and B in the left and E in the right. So it sounds like this. I'm going to hold it for a little bit and then play C alone. Immediately after the C, we'll move on to the next bar, and it sounds like this. A in the left, A in the right, F in the left, G in the right. And alone, by holding on to these two notes you have over here, you'll play A. So it sounds like this. You hold it on for a little bit and play G, while holding on to these two notes. So the bar sounds like this. Immediately after this G, you will play A in the right and you hold it until the end of what I split into the section. And it will sound, and you'll play A in the left, E in the left, and G in the left, all the time while holding this A. So it sounds like this. So that there is the first section. I will now play it for you in slow and rather slow time, so you can get an idea of what it sounds like. Okay, now for the second part of the video, you'll notice I have changed the camera angle. We were before playing on this side of the keyboard, and we will now move to a bit of a more bass side. The second part of this piece, it is mostly made out of chords, where before we were playing single notes, we will now be playing more chords. Okay, so just to get your bearings, this is the middle C and this is the bass part we will mostly be concentrating on. Okay, so what we just played just before now, we ended like this. Okay, right after this you will have a rest for one count and play A below middle C. Just after this A, which is played alone, you will then play a chord in the left hand. that is B flat, D, and F. You play them together with the A. So the second section would start first with an A alone, and then with B flat, D, and F played together. You'll hold this for 3 counts and play D while holding the chord in the left, so it sounds like this. Okay. After D, you will play A in the left, E in the left, C in the right, and C in the right together. Right after this, but holding on to these 2 notes in the left, you'll move your right hand to the top of the key, where we're playing before, which is 1 E above the, 2 E's above middle C. At the same time, you'll play G in the left, so it sounds like this. And after that, you will add an A, so the bar sounds like this. After that, you'll move back down to the bass part of the piano. Play A and A in your left, which is A in the left and A here in the right, together. The next chord is B flat and F in the left. There's a B flat and F, and A in the right and D played together. Play them again, so this chord is played twice. And for the final chord, you will play A in the left, that is 2 A's below middle C, E in the left, and A in the right, C in the right, and E in the right, together. And you hold that for 4 counts. Now, to connect the second part of this piece to the first part, as we said, because the first part must be repeated again, you will simply play A in the left, 1 A below middle C, and 1 A above middle C. Play it together. And then you start with the first part of the piece, as you've already learned. You might want to go back to, if you want to learn to play it again, you can go back to the beginning of this video. So it sounds like this. You have the last chord. Okay. I will now demonstrate the second part of the piece for the review in slower time. Now, when you're playing the piece, this second part for the second time, because as we discussed earlier, you first play the first part, then the second part, and then repeat the whole thing. Now, when you play the second part, again, you will just end on this chord right there. You don't need to add the A and the A, which is the connecting part between the first part and the repetition. I hope that doesn't sound too confusing. Okay, so the last thing that there is to discuss about this piece is the use of the pedal, which I will show you. Now, my piano has got 3 pedals, and some of them may have 2, but that's okay, because the one we are concerned about today is the use of the pedal on the right, which is over here. This is, for those of you who don't know, this is the sustain pedal, and it will hold your notes after you've played them, and it creates this beautiful sort of echoey kind of sound, which makes the piece sound smoother. The musical term for this is legato. Okay, so I don't think that I don't know if you can see me press it very well. So every time, since the pedal holds all of your notes, it can get a bit confusing. So every now and again, you will need to change it by lifting it up and pressing it again. Now, I will play the piece without the repetition. Therefore I will be playing half of this piece, and I will say the word change or down every time that the pedal needs to be lifted. Down. Change. 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 Change again. Change. Change. Yes, I do realize that's quite a very awkward way of playing, but because of the camera I am standing at a very dodgy kind of angle. Now, when you've learned the piece, as we discussed earlier, it's important to remember the way to play it, that is using gentle kind of touch. And for the first section, which is this theme, although it is played more on the softer side, you will want to remember that your right hand must sound louder than your left hand. This is where the melody is. So you will want to make it sound kind of like as though you have a microphone on this area of the keyboard. Now, when you come to the second part, the chords, well, they're more played the same volume, I guess, except when you get to this is played a bit louder, you know, the little bit that we discussed earlier. It is played a little bit louder than the rest, but otherwise, I think that is about it. If you want to go to check the dynamics of the piece, you might want to check the original. And if you have any questions, you might want to ask me. Just write them down in the comments, and I will see them. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you like it, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you.